SBR Videos is sponsored by Sports Cash System. Click on the link below for more information.
Welcome to Where's the Action? I'm your host, Ross Benjamin. Today I'm going to be previewing Saturday's college football contest in the Big Ten between the Minnesota Golden Gophers and the Michigan Wolverines that takes place in Ann Arbor. Kickoff time, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The line as we currently speak shows Michigan is a 19-point home favorite, and the total in this game is 50. Well, after getting off to a terrific start to the season by knocking off Notre Dame 41-30 and blowing out Central Michigan in their home opener 59-7, the Wolverines have struggled in their last two games. They were a 35.5-point favorite 3 weeks ago at home versus Akron and needed a touchdown with less than 3 minutes to go to win the game 28-24, and they actually had a goal line stand in the final seconds and barely held on in that contest. They followed that up by traveling to UConn, and as a 20-point favorite in that contest, the Wolverines barely got by UConn as well, 24-21. That's the same UConn team last week that got blown out by the University of Buffalo and cost Paul Pasqualoni his job. By the way, Akron and UConn, folks, the two teams that Michigan really struggle with, right now they're a combined 1-8 on the season. The Minnesota Golden Gophers, for the second year in a row, got off to a fast 4-0 start. But that all came to a screeching halt last week at home versus the Iowa Hawkeyes. Minnesota, as a 2-point underdog in that contest, was blown out, and it looks 23-7. It doesn't look as bad as the statistics really indicated, because they were outgained in that game 464 to 165 by nearly 300 yards, and the Iowa Hawkeyes held on to the ball for 36 minutes in that contest. If Michigan ever needed a blueprint on how to attack the Minnesota defense, all they have to do is look at that game tape as Iowa just gouged them on the ground for over 200 yards and opened up the passing game. And Michigan, in my opinion, has a lot more offensive talent than Iowa does. So the Minnesota defense could be up against it this week. The one thing they can hang their head on, the Gophers defense that is the fact the Wolverines have turned the ball over 14 times in their first 4 games. And you want to know how teams like Akron and UConn stood in the game with Michigan, who was a heavy favorite? Very easily, folks. Michigan turned the ball over 4 times against UConn, and 4 times against Akron. They were a -5 turnover differential in those 2 games, and they had to keep most teams in contest. And the Wolverines, not only did they get 1 wake-up call, but they got 2, and they survived. And I thoroughly believe on Saturday afternoon, after getting a week of rest last week, they'll be prepared and ready to go as the coaching staff takes a big exhale and regroups the troops. In front of the home folks, look for Michigan to come out big, play big, and really put it to Minnesota. I like the Wolverines in this contest, -19 over Minnesota. That's Michigan -19 over Minnesota. You've been watching and listening to Where's the Action? I'm your host, Ross Benjamin. Thank you for joining me. I'd like to wish all of you the very best today and for the upcoming weekend.